Life doesn't make sense without interdependence. We need one another, and the sooner we learn that, the better for us all.
That was said by the famed psychologist Erik Erikson. And unfortunately, we're still struggling to live up to those words today because we've allowed our society to isolate age groups, resulting in misconnections between generations.
There's an age-old belief that the young and older generations are meant to be at odds with one another. Youth are often seen as misunderstood, while the older community is often seen as outdated. This thinking, however, only drives us apart.
So we decided to challenge these generational divisions by looking for ways to connect with the older community. We started by visiting our local senior center a few times a week, and our lives were quickly enhanced by stories shared over lunches and friendships made over card games. We had now interacted with members of our community that we otherwise never would have met. But when we wanted to share this experience with others our age, we were surprised to receive few yeses and more whys.
Our experience went a little like this.
Why would I want to hang out with old people?
What would we talk about?
Wouldn't that be awkward?
Would we have anything in common?
Why would I want to hang out with raisins? As far as we're concerned, raisins are nothing more than the unwanted leftovers in our trail mix. And actually, interactions between generations can forge meaningful friendships and mentorships for both parties involved.
In both of our lives, we had missed out on building these meaningful relationships, largely because we didn't seek out opportunities to interact. But when we did, we learned that there's a lot that we can learn from the life experiences of others.
So, this is an open letter to our generation. Start seeking relationships with the older community and take the time to learn from the life experiences of someone else.
You might be wondering, why do the 18-year-olds in front of you today believe that we need intergenerational interdependence? Well, the woman beside us today is our why. Meet Margaret.
First off, she is the most competitive rummy player we've ever met. And no matter the outcome of any game, I can promise you she'll be cracking jokes at the end, win or lose.
And I can also promise you that you can almost always find her rocking a pair of bright yellow Crocs.
When we first met Margaret over a year ago, we quickly bonded over card games. While she shared stories of her past, from working in the FBI, raising a family, and her own path to self-discovery, we fell in love with her quirky personality and warm heart. And our friendship with Margaret became one of the most meaningful friendships we've ever had.
Recently, however, our lives seemed to take a turn for the worse, or so we had thought, when the coronavirus pandemic first hit. All the important life milestones that we had been told to look forward to as high school seniors had quickly slipped away, and it felt like it all happened within a matter of seconds. Life had gotten harder for Margaret as well. She told us about how the simple task of going grocery shopping had quickly become a daunting one. To make matters worse, we couldn't see Margaret in person anymore, in fear of contributing to the spread of the virus.
While the quarantine started extremely difficult and isolating for us, it didn't actually end up feeling that way because of our friendship with Margaret. She encouraged us to look for the opportunity in these unprecedented times and helped us look at our situation from a new angle. So when our interactions were forced to shift to phone calls, Margaret guided us in ways that none of our peers could have, because instead, all of our minds were clouded by the disappointing prospects of reimagined high school milestones, like graduation and prom. So instead, together we planned the most exotic prom scenarios over the phone. From her favorite idea of a Jello-themed dance to what we ultimately settled on, a social distance parking lot prom with our friends.
If it wasn't for Margaret's friendship and guidance, we likely would have never been able to approach the pandemic from a new and creative angle, and a lot of the memorable experiences that we were able to have might have never happened.
In turn, Margaret says our friendship, quote, restored her faith in young people. Because nowadays, us older folks have to demand for young people to even acknowledge us. It doesn't matter how old you are now. When you miss out on a chance to form human connections, you miss out on an opportunity to learn from the life experiences of someone else. With our friendship with Margaret, she brought a whole new perspective into our lives that was shaped by the experiences she's already had. Margaret says that growing up, she didn't have many people telling her that she could be whatever she wanted. So she tries to relay this message forward to us in hopes that we can see the world as full of opportunities, despite whatever challenges we might be facing.
Margaret introduced us to many more amazing members of our community. We met one woman, Charmaine, who watched the civil rights movement unfold in Birmingham, and later, at the age of 60, went back to college to learn more about it. We also met Sandy, a woman who started her own bread and breakfast, and at the age of 72, found her new passion for bungee jumping. We also met Pauline, a woman who endured countless years of gender discrimination in order to pave the way for herself and several other women in geology, a field once traditionally dominated by men. Through all the experiences that we've had and the people we met, we learned one really important thing. Something as simple and inevitable as age should have no say in which human connections we learn from and form, and we can assure you there is so much to be learned.
So the next time that you hear the phrase, "Okay, boomer," I want you to think about how we're stronger when we realize that we can actually be on the same team. I want you to think about Jane Fonda and Greta Thunberg, who are simultaneously fighting climate change together despite being generations apart. I want you to think about the 60s and how today's civil rights leaders are looking to the leaders of the past. We don't need these dismissive generational divisions because more often than not, we're working for the same outcomes and goals. One thing that stuck out to us the most was that when we wanted to share stories with our new friends, they didn't give us all the specifics of what they did or when exactly they did it, but instead, they shared memories with the people in their lives and the human connections they made along the way. But just because these connections might be missing from our lives right now, doesn't mean they have to be. So if we can lean on each other and dip into the resources that different generations have to offer, whether that's through new perspectives or the wisdom that comes with time, we can recognize intergenerational interdependence as an invaluable asset to our society. But more than just encouraging you to go out there and build generational relationships, we urge you to actively seek out intergenerational friendships, no matter which side of the age spectrum you are on.